Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Matt Horn
is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hope, she's been taken.
The time of judgment has come.
It's a trap. She's waiting for you.
If I die, it is so my daughter can live.
Matthew, this is Rena Owen. I've been wanting to talk to you on your podcast about Siren. Do you know that TV series about mermaids? Yeah, well, we've only got 2 episodes left to go, dude. We've got 1 episode tonight, episode 9, and next week is our season finale, so I really, really need to talk to you because we've only got 2 episodes to go. Do you also realize I'm in 3 other shows that are on Hulu? Siren, The Orville, and soon to be released on Hulu is The Gloaming. So we've got a lot to talk about, dude. But, you never answer your phone. So what am I going to do? Okay, well, hopefully you'll call me back. And if you don't, then you're off my A-list.
So on the line we have Rena Owen talking to us from... Where are you talking to us from, Rena?
I am sitting right now in my apartment, or do we call them condos, here on the border of West Hollywood and Beverly Hills in CA 90048.
I don't know what that is.
90048 is Beverly adjacent. So I'm smack in the middle of West Hollywood and Beverly Hills. And it's a beautiful blue sky out there. It's a lovely day. It's a lovely day, another lovely day in quarantine.
Well, here we go. Obviously, you've mentioned it now, which is the ongoing thing on this podcast at the minute. How are you finding it?
Well, to be brutally honest with you, Matthew, I've been on a roller coaster of non-stop work in multiple different countries around the world for the last 4 years. We finished shooting Siren in mid-December, and then I came back to LA for 10 days, had Christmas here, and then I went home down in New Zealand early January for 6 weeks to catch up with family, sort out my property, blah, blah, blah. I came back into LA mid-February for 3 jobs. 4, actually. The first thing I did was Siren ADR, additional dialogue recording, and thank God I got that done, because obviously Siren is now on air. But the next 3 jobs all slowly but surely got shut down, locked down, and it provided me a long overdue and much needed break. And I've made the most of this time at home. And to be honest with you, it's kind of nothing new for us creatives, like actors, writers. A lot of us do work at home. A lot of us never know where our next paid gig is. So we get really good at living one day at a time, so to speak, because that's the nature of our industry. It's incredibly unpredictable. I've attached myself to films and saved myself for those films that ended up with a lot of different start dates and eventually fell over because they lost their financing. Some pilots never get picked up and go to series. Every year we wait the month of May to find out if Siren will go to another season. So it's not a new kind of lifestyle for me, staying home and working from home. I've been able to catch up on a lot of my tedious to-do list. I've been able to catch up on shows. I've been able to follow Siren and do a lot of social media because I've been at home and I've had the luxury of time. I'm doing interviews and podcasts, so it's constructive time. And the only thing I can really say that I genuinely miss is I do miss going to my yoga classes. I do miss going on my nature hikes with friends. I miss hanging out at cafes to catch up with friends or do meetings. I miss going to movies. I miss going to industry events and doing red carpets. But, that stuff is all luxury. It's not a necessity. By God, I've caught up on so much sleep. And I have really just had this time to really unwind and to be a couch potato. I'm never a couch potato. I'm usually like, go, 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 go. I'm like that ever-ready battery that just doesn't stop going. Well, this forced me to stop. So you take the good out of it, you keep it positive, and you learn what you can learn from this experience. And I wear masks, I wear gloves. I wanted to go and help on the front line, but the bottom line is I do have work booked and I cannot afford to get sick, and I don't want to get sick.
We don't obviously know how long this is going to go on for. I keep saying 6 months. I think it will be longer. When this is finally over, what do you think the industry is going to be like?
Yeah, there was some stuff on the news yesterday with Gavin Newsom, who I think has done an extraordinary job at just being a very calm, centred leader. And he was talking with industry A-lists, writers, actors, and they're going to make an announcement very soon on Memorial Day, next Monday, about the industry going back to work, but with new etiquette put in place. We will go back to work. New Zealand's gone back to work. A lot of companies are moving their productions to Korea, that's back at work, or down in New Zealand or Australia. There's going to be less people on sets. There's going to be a lot more diligence with hand washing and sanitizers. People are going to have their temperature checked. People are not allowed to come to work if they're sick. Because as one person brought up at the discussion about it yesterday, actors are the least protected because we cannot act with PP. We cannot have gloves and masks on while we shoot the scenes. So they're going to have to do everything surrounding the actors to keep it as clean, sanitized. Everyone wants to go back to work. I hear that BC, British Columbia and Vancouver, last week said they'd be back shooting in 6 weeks. So Siren shoots in Vancouver. Motherland, I believe, shoots in Vancouver. A lot of shows, 60 productions shoot in Vancouver. Lord of the Rings in New Zealand, Avatar. These are shows that are already starting to kick back into production. So, the jobs I had booked, they basically happen here in LA. It's obviously work I really, really want to do, and they're not jobs I want to give up, but it's going to come down to how it all kind of falls out in the new schedule of dates, because I'll also find out next week if Siren's going to go to season 4. And if that goes to season 4, and if they decide to shoot this year, then that's going to affect other work I had booked. If it's delayed till next year, then it means I can do the local jobs here in LA and go back to New Zealand and do a feature film, which I'm really excited to do. And they're hoping to be shooting that in August, September. But as an actor, you're kind of powerless over these things. You always are. And the cookie crumbles the way the cookie crumbles, as that old saying used to go. It'll land as it's meant to land. And I'm kind of getting quite excited about going back to work. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right, I'm an actor. Have to remind myself, because I literally really was just back-to-back jobs. It was a pretty full-on 4 years, so this downtime has served me well.
Well, I do have to mention that you're from New Zealand.
Yeah.
How have they been taking it? Because I think you're the first person from New Zealand who we've had on the podcast. I'm not hearing much about COVID-19.
Our Prime Minister, excuse me, we don't call them presidents, Jacinta Ardern has been kind of admired all around the world because her whole handling of it was just exceptional leadership. And they shut down the country. They did what they needed to do. They did contact tracing, and they shut it down. They shut it down real quick, the virus, and now they've gone back to level 2. Next week they'll be in level 1. So people have already gone back to work in New Zealand. In a country like New Zealand, that is a lot more attainable because it is essentially 2 islands. And it's only a population of 4.5 million. So it's easier to do contact tracing, to shut down things, to monitor people. Like literally police, there were roadblocks. People couldn't travel. Police were out there getting people off the beaches, shutting down parties if they were happening. So we could do that. And New Zealand could do that because it is a smaller country and a smaller population. I mean, look at America. It's one of the biggest continents in the world, and it has a population of nearly 350 million people. And, New Zealand's kind of been the golden, the kid on the block that everyone's like, wow. And yeah, level 2 already. And they started opening the country in stages, level 4 and then level 3, and now this week they've been level 2, and soon they'll be level 1. But everything's been done with caution. There's new behaviour dictates in place. They're doing things like every country's going to have to do to adapt to the fact that this could come back, and it could come back really strong if we are not diligent.
Well, the reason why we've got you here is to talk about Siren.
Great. We only have 2 episodes to go. It's just gone. It's gone by so fast.
I was going to say the actual newest episode is not far away from being screened, is it?
It's tonight. Yeah, tonight. And actually, it will be on in the East Coast, because East Coast obviously is before West Coast. It comes on the East Coast at 7 p.m, and then it comes on Central at 9, and then it comes to West Coast at 10 p.m. And tonight is our second to last episode, so it's really building to our season finale, which is next week. And, this time's gone by really quickly. I can't believe we're already almost at the end. We will find out, I believe, next week, the fate of the show, so to speak, whether it ends at season 3 or whether it will be renewed. It has been Freeform's best performing show in terms of ratings, and has done exceptionally well with foreign sales, and is seen around the world in different countries. So it has been one of their most successful shows. But, that doesn't guarantee a renewal. The reality this year, we all know that studios, particularly Disney, took an enormous loss financially. Huge loss because of all of its theme parks. All its productions had to shut down, and films that would have been in cinemas all got shut down. So they've taken a huge financial blow this year because of the pandemic. And Siren is not a cheap show to make. It's an expensive show. It's also not a fast turnaround. It's not a show like a lot of their other shows are quick turnaround shows. Siren's not that kind of show. First, there's all the prep, writing the scripts, casting of new characters, and then there's a long production period where each episode gets edited, you get the soundtrack, the composing done, the additional dialogue recordings done, and the visual effects. That takes a lot of time and is very, very expensive. Creating all those mermaid tales, all the underwater stuff, the action stuff, that takes time and takes a lot of bucks. So, you have to, as an actor, you really have to just resign yourself to what will be, and we're good at that, because that's the way we operate throughout the course of my career, which has now been 35 years. You go in and you audition for something, and you sit there and you wish and you want and you hope, but at the end of the day you have to just let it go, because you're powerless over the outcome. And sometimes you book those jobs and sometimes you miss out. Some pilots never go to seasons. So we've done extraordinarily well to have 3 seasons. We did the Siren pilot in 2016. And had it not got picked up, then I had the opportunity and the possibility of doing Avatar. But it got picked up. So that's the thing. The grass is always going to be greener no matter where you're working, because it's often in our industry feast or famine. Sometimes you can go for a long period with nothing, and then suddenly you book work, and then all these other opportunities are coming your way. So I'm kind of resigned to the outcome. You just have to be okay with what they decide. But I also have the security of knowing there is work, and I've got other work booked. Should Siren not go to season 4. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed, and I'm very grateful to be a working actor.
Can I tell them this? I suppose I can tell them this. There's an underwater battle in this last episode, isn't there?
Yes, you can. You can without going into detail, but everyone knows the tagline for season 3 has "War is coming." So war is coming. All the fans already know it. It involves mermaids. We've seen different degrees of that war and how it's taken shape, and some of it's happened on land, and inevitably shite's going to go down underwater.
Here's the question. Do you think it would have been better for everybody concerned if they'd self-isolated?
Recently, I watched Blacklist last Friday night, and I'm like, what's all this animation about? And they found a really clever way, because they were halfway through shooting their season finale. And they had all these scenes that they didn't have, and they thought, damn, we're not going to sacrifice our season finale. So it was such a clever move. They animated those scenes, and it was really quite, it just was exciting. And the innovation that comes out of times like this, people are incredibly innovative and resourceful, and great creations have come out of this being in isolation. And things have changed, and certain things will never be what they were. But that's life. It's like everything has to shift. And things happen. 9/11 happened. Things shifted. Hurricanes happen. Earthquakes happen. Things shift. And that's life. And that's the nature of life. And I don't think this will be our last pandemic. Pandemics have been written about, talked about, for a long, long time. And, certain leadership said nobody could have predicted this. Well, actually, there were a lot of predictions made. That the most dangerous thing threatening America was not Russia, was not nuclear weapons, not Korea, it was a pandemic. But nobody wanted to listen to that until it was too late. And then you're doing damage control. So I think that this has really made people go back to 101s and go, okay, we need to be better prepared for future incidences. We need to know, we need to have that supply. Even I went out and shopped for that supply of food that's not perishable, because earthquakes happen in LA. It's just the nature of the world we live in. Wars are going to happen. Yeah, I'd love to have my pink glasses on and go, we're all going to live in peace, love, and rock and roll, but we all know that that's an ideal that's not going to be a reality. You'll find it in certain places. It's just inevitable. I mean, if you look at the state of our world, it's shook up. You just look at the marketplaces, you look at the levels of unemployment. There are going to be a lot of people who are never going to get their jobs back. There are going to be a lot of businesses that aren't going to recover. So I count my blessings, I get up every day and I go, okay, as the old saying goes, every day above ground is a good day, especially when you're past 50, and I'm in my 50s now. So this is something I love sharing with people. Once you cross 50, life suddenly looks really short. You go, oh my God, I've lived the bulk of my life. And life looks really short, and you go, this is it. What are you going to do with it? And so you get more particular and more specific about how you choose to use your time and energy, because they are your most valuable commodities. Time. Once spent, you can never get it back. And you really relish the things that are important to you. Families they've had to stay home with each other for better or worse. Relationships. Things like that. I mean, there's been a lot of hardship for a lot of people out there who live paycheck to paycheck, and they're the people I really feel for. I'm okay. I've got savings. I don't have children to feed or children to take care of. So I'm okay. I'm one of the lucky ones. But I do feel for those. I feel for our waitresses and our waiters who lived on our tips to pay their rents. I really feel sorry for people who've got a lot of children and they're struggling to feed their children. The gap between the haves and the have-nots is so huge now, and that it is easy for the haves to be totally blind to the have-nots.
Yep.
And I feel for them. I really feel for our working class, for our blue collars, for our essential workers. And, that's the irony. These people who are on low income, they're the ones we're all counting on. They're the ones at your grocery checkout store. They're the ones driving your buses or your trains. They're your essential workers on the front lines at the food banks, the nurses, and they're the ones that are paid the least amount of money.
Well, obviously, we should go back to Siren. I feel we're
digressing.
I
think we should. I've digressed. I think we're also going to see a change in storytelling. I think there's going to be some really interesting TV shows and films that come out of this season of quarantine.
Yeah, which follows on quite nicely to the fact that obviously your character Helen has sort of progressed through each season.
Yes.
Does it sort of astonish you where they're going with it and where they've gone?
I know they're just so innovative, our writers. We're just so blessed with our godfather, Eric Wilde, and our showrunner, Emily Whitesell. And they both write episodes. And they're just trailblazers. The scripts are always ahead of their times. I mean, if you look at episode 16 of season 2, we were in a military lockdown. We were in quarantine, for different reasons. If you look at what's coming in front of us, the information that's come out in press and trailers and sneak peeks is that there's a new weapon tier, a new badass has weaponized the song, the Siren song, and it's taking people out. And you see that in the trailer for this episode and the next episode. People are literally dropping like flies. Yes, the hospital is going to be inundated. How uncanny. This was written over a year ago and was shot last December. But it's actually kind of very similar to what's going on now in reality. They're visionaries and they're pioneers, and I think it's what makes every show successful is when pioneer creatives have the opportunity to tell stories that haven't been told yet, to do things that haven't been done yet. And, the show has tapped into environmental issues. It's tapped into species that are becoming extinct. It's tapped into the dangers of plastic in the oceans. It's just tapped into a lot of stuff that resonates in real life. So tonight's episode and next week, it's going down and people are going to die.
I do have to ask the question, because you said it now. Is it going to leave it on a cliffhanger if they did go into season 4? Is it going to leave it on a cliffhanger where Helen is sort of dying?
No.
Oh.
No. I can't give away who may die, but we see in the trailer that people are being taken out by the song. So there's a lot of people in the community that don't survive. In terms of characters, no, I can't really say if anyone's going to die. Maybe someone will. You'll have to watch. You'll have to watch, but a lot of people are going to die in the community, which is your extras and your background. And yeah, I can't say more than that. I can't actually even answer you whether it's going to be Helen or whether it's going to be Xander. Xander in last week's episode, we saw Xander fall. In this week's episode, we've seen the trailer that he's in hospital and that he's got bad stuff going on in his brain. Maybe Xander won't make it. But yeah, I can't give away that.
Maybe Xander might create an anti-Siren song.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Maybe Xander might become a mermaid. He's always wanted to be a mermaid. So maybe we can give him some mermaid stem cells and bring him back to life. Who knows what will happen? It's gonna be exciting, and I can say that people are gonna be shook up. Yeah, people will get shook, and I'm anticipating a very strong reaction to our last episode. I mean, last week's episode was very emotional. And, we have a very fervent, faithful fan base, and they've just been extraordinary. And they're so invested in our characters and invested in the show. And they come up with the most amazing conspiracy theories, or they come up with no, Xander can't die. I'm going to hate you forever if you kill off Xander. And I've been pleased right back to the very beginning. I've been very pleased that Helen had become a beloved character, because this is a show, a young adult show. And my experience of young people, nephews and nieces, is they don't like old people. So the fact that the young audience really liked Helen, and kind of Helen's somewhat become an auntie to them all, really pleased me. And the bosses, one of our bosses' daughters, Helen's her favourite character, and she must have been only 13, maybe 12, going on a 13. And I said, why? Why do you like Helen? And she said, because she's real. And I think that's a real sign of the youth we have in our societies now, and the youth that will create and develop our future. There's a certain difference to the youth of my youth or your youth or prior youth. This youth want realness, and they are shaking things up. And when there have been horrendous gun violence in schools, you saw what these young people are doing. So it's a show that really has spoken to a lot of young people, but also a lot of my age group have really gotten into the show because we have a little bit of everything. There's a little bit of everything for everybody. It's a show that really crosses culture, creeds, genders. It crosses everything. And it's been pioneering, and I so admire this about our creators, that they were really very strongly of the opinion that they wanted it all mixed up. With our mermaids, you've got our first mermaid is a white mermaid, her sister is black. They didn't want boxes. They didn't want to start putting people or characters into ethnic boxes. They wanted characters just to be characters. And I'm so down with that, because I'm one of these actors that has 6 different bloods running in my veins. My dominant ones are Polynesian, Māori, and Welsh. I'm an Owen, O-W-E-N, Welsh. My great-grandfather was a Welshman. That's on my father's side. My mother's side is English, Scandinavian, a little bit of French, and Caucasian. So I'm a mongrel. I'm a mix of different bloods, a mix of different heritages. And a lot of us are, mixed heritages, mixed ancestors. And it's great to actually work on a show where you're just a character. Granted, my character is part mermaid. So I was perfect for this role. And as you previously said, Helen's really developed over these seasons. And the first big development in season 1 is she had a huge secret. And that secret slowly but surely came out throughout the course of the season, but it wasn't until episode 10 that she revealed to Ben and Maddie that she was part mermaid, that she was hybrid. And then in season 2, she became a mermaid wrangler and became a safe haven and a sanctuary and the kind of wise one for merpeople and mermaids and mermen, and discovered that she wasn't the only hybrid in the community. So we got this whole hybrid community, which led to the ability for Rin to have a baby, because that was done through the Hybrids Ranch facilities with their doctor, which has led us to season 3. So, they have things so well planned out, our writers, and they're also extraordinarily gifted at tying up loose ends. No loose ends are left unanswered for. Things will come back from season 1 and are kind of like, oh yeah. Like everyone said in this season, when Ben started taking the stem cells out of a mermaid, everyone's like, well, where did that mermaid come from? And I go, well, if you go back to the first episode of season 2, when Levi was struggling in his transformation and they saved him, the one that died mid-transformation, Ben and Maddie buried that mermaid, and he went back and he dug it up. We've recently too had another storyline that was resolved, was the storyline of Donna. In season 2, the military had robbed Helen's family's grave, so taken the bones of Helen's family and ancestors. And so that was finally resolved this season, where Donna was haunting Helen. And through the help of Sarge, he led her to the military. Of course, this is why she's haunting me. She's not at peace. And Xander was able to recover her body, what was left of her body, from the military facility. And Helen and Rin and Donna's daughter, Cammy, were able to bury her, with Cammy taking Donna back to the water. So that resolved a storyline that started way back in season 1.
I do have to ask the question, do you believe in mermaids?
I do now, yeah. Initially I was a bit like, I wasn't a believer or a non-believer, but going through this journey with Siren, I'd believe in anything now. I'd also believe in unicorns. I believe in anything. I believe pandemics could happen. Nothing's impossible anymore. Everything's possible. So I'm not going to say, hey, I'm a gung-ho 110% mermaid believer, but I'm not going to say, no, I don't believe. I've got an open mind, and I'm willing to believe in anything being possible. And I think what our show tapped into, right from day one, from the pilot, which made it exciting and edgy, is unlike the mermaids we grew up with, our mermaids in Siren, the TV series, are top-level predators. They will bite the head off a shark. They will literally kill you. And we saw that in the pilot. And we saw that. And we've continued to see that. And that's what makes it exciting. And in my mind, if mermaids were real, yeah, they'd have to be able to take out sharks. They'd have to be able to fend for themselves and fight. They can't lay around being pretty, beautiful, gorgeous things singing a siren song all day long. They have to get their food supply. And it's also what started this whole story, which is rooted in a very real environmental issue, is the reason this whole premise and story began is because the mermaids, mermen, the mer cultures are running out of food. Because the big trawlers and greed around the world has been stripping the seabeds of their food supply, which meant that they had to come closer to the surface to find food. And that's when Sister Donna got caught up in a net and gets taken on the trawler. And it's what brings Rin to land to find her sister. So it's pretty powerful stuff our creators come up with. We really are gifted. I think it'll be a real loss in a lot of ways for a lot of people if it's not given a season 4. But I've got no doubts that whatever these people go on to create, it's going to be just as good, if not better. They're the real McCoy. They're the real thing, and I've just loved working with them. They're extraordinary people, and they've been fantastic bosses, and we've had a fantastic cast and a fantastic crew, and we really became a very strong family. So I'll be sad if we don't go to season 4, but you get over it and you move on.
Well, let's talk a bit about you, Rena, you yourself.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've mentioned that you're from New Zealand. Sort of a dual-part question here. How did you get into the industry, and what advice would you give to anyone wanting to pursue it?
Well, anyone wanting to pursue it, first and foremost, you can't be something you're not. You've really got to figure out what you're born for. You know, I do believe that every single one of us is gifted to be good at something. We have inherent talents and qualities that lend themselves to certain professions. I was born a creative, hypersensitive, overly emotional, vivid imagination, and oh so dramatic. And I was highly creative as a child and got into the performing arts and got published with a poem and was in all my high school musicals. So I knew as a young person that I had found my place in the world as a storyteller and being on stage. And I couldn't pursue it as a career at the end of the 70s because acting and writing in a lot of countries was not considered a real career. It was go get a real job. You got to have a real job. And also as a woman at the end of the 70s, my career options were I could be a secretary, a teacher, a nurse. And thirdly, as a brown girl, as an ethnically ambiguous girl, I had no role models. We didn't really see brown faces smothered on our screens. So I ended up having to go nursing, which served me well. But I had the courage to come back to this profession as a result of going to London. And I had to make that choice between choosing the arts or choosing a more predictable, safer career with a regular income, which would have been something to do with medicine. But I chose the arts because I believe it's what I was born to do, and I had the passion. So I don't recommend this industry to people. It's a tough industry. You don't survive it unless it's a need, unless it's a part of who you are and what you're meant to do. I always say to people 2 things, 2 industries. People have to eat food. People get sick, medicine. Today we see that our essential industries, the people who are working, are in our food industries and in our medical industries. Only come into this industry if you know it's what you really, really want to do. As Russell Crowe said to me 20-odd years ago, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And it's first and foremost, it's a craft. You have to learn to have a respect for a craft. I can't just get up and be an engineer. You have to go and learn how to become an engineer. And like acting, I went to drama school. I got hands-on experience in theatre, working with some of the best people. And the more you do it, the better you get. I'd actually been doing it for 6 years. 7 years before I had actually felt I'd earned the right to call myself an actor, because I had respect for it as a craft. So if this is what you want to do, then pursue it. You really have to have the gift of tenacity and perseverance. Every decade I wanted to give up, because there'll be many seasons where you're without paid work. You're never without work because you're self-employed. So there's always that workload where you have to be procreative, help to create and generate your own work, which I did. I wrote plays to write roles for myself. You have to do social media now. You have to put yourself out there. So you're always working. I'd get annoyed at people go, are you working? You know, the question should be, are you getting paid to work? That's the difference. Because as a self-employed creative, you're always working. You've always got stuff to do. And in the first 10 years, I remember moaning to my mum, I'm working my butt off, working in theatre, learning my craft, honing my skills, working multiple other jobs to pay my rent, and I had nothing to show for it. And she said, just hang in there, girl. I'm glad I hung in there, because I got the role of a lifetime playing Beth Hecker in the New Zealand film Once Were Warriors, which opened the door for my international career. I wouldn't have got that cherry on top of the cake if I'd given in. There were another couple of times that I was ready to give in. It's a skill. It's a life skill. You have to learn how to live with unpredictability. You have to learn how to live one day at a time, not knowing where your next paid job is. You have to live with resilience and tenacity, and you have to develop a thick skin, because you can go in for multiple auditions. This happened to me one year where I just went in for multiple auditions, and you put a lot of time and energy into doing the work to go in and do good auditions, and then constantly being rejected and constantly missing out. And I just remember that year thinking, oh God, I'm done. I'm kind of over this. I was in my 50s, and I'm like, I'm kind of just done. I'm over living like a student, counting pennies, wondering where my next gig's going to be. And it's interesting, in the process of letting go, when you really have a sincere surrendering of it in your entire being, it comes back to you. And I booked the Vin Diesel film, The Last Witch Hunter, with Vin Diesel and Michael Caine and Elijah Woods, and fantastic cast. And I went through a similar phase before I booked Siren, and I had to be really honest and search my heart and go, you know, what do you want? And I took ownership of, you know, what I really wanted. And I still really wanted to work as an actor in America, and I wanted it to be a role that I was just right for the way I was, and I wanted it to come with income, regular income. And not long after that, I booked Siren. In your 40s is kind of barren, because you're too old to be the hot babe, or you're too young to be the wise old sage. And my mother always said this to me. She said, just remember Dame Judi Dench and Dame Helen Mirren. They did not get their big Hollywood breaks till they were in their 50s, the latter stages of their career. And it's true. I'm having the best decade of my career now that I'm in my 50s. And it's a lot to do with the fact that once you get to your 50s, you're comfortable in your own skin, and providing you've continued to hone your craft and you haven't disfigured yourself, there's work. There's work for good actors that still look like themselves, that still have the acting chops. So, you know, I've had a lot of great work. I've been offered a lot of great work, you know. There've been other opportunities out there, and that's the gift of having an option. You know, you're guaranteed, like, okay, season 3, mid-July, mid-December, July, August, September, October, November, December. You got 6 months' work. That's a blessing as an actor. But I'm not too concerned about what it will look like post-Siren if we don't go to season 4. I just live by faith, and I've always done that throughout my career. I wouldn't have survived this industry. I tell people out there, faith is a big component. Tenacity, perseverance, faith. Just follow your dream. Every day, do something to better yourself and to bring you closer towards your dream. And just never give up. Never give up. And just believe in that impossible dreams exist to be created. And that was what I created and thought about when I first set out. Impossible dreams exist to be created. And impossible dreams do come true. And if you know you're walking your destiny and you know you're doing everything you possibly can to fulfill your dream, your desire, hold on to integrity. Don't sell out. Keep your eye on the bigger picture and be nice to people. Be a good human being, because those people you might be nasty to on the way up, you will see them when you're on your way down. And there are ups and downs throughout your career, but you can't get to mountaintops without walking through valleys. So you have to persevere in your valleys, knowing that eventually you'll climb upwards again. And my whole career has been like that, through valleys up to mountaintops, through valleys up to mountaintops. And that's life, and that's the wonderful journey of life.
Well, I do have to mention that you have actually been in 2 Star Wars films.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably one of my biggest accolades, is that I'm the only female actress in the world to have worked with both George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. There's only 6 actors in the world, and I'm the only female. So, not bad for a little girl who grew up in excuse me, not bad for a little girl who grew up in rural New Zealand milking cows. Yeah, not bad at all. So, impossible dreams do come true. And anything's possible if you hang in there and you do what you need to do and you persevere and you don't give up.
What was it like working with George Lucas and Steven Spielberg?
It's great. They're fantastic. They're visionaries. They're brilliant, dynamic, extraordinary visionaries who I was very privileged to work with. That's a brief answer. I feel like I've been talking a lot about Star Wars this week, so I don't really know how to say it in brief, except they're extraordinary people. They're extraordinary visionaries. They're doing what every other creative does, which is being true to themselves, creating 100% original stories, creating 110% original visions, and that's what every trailblazer has in common. They're doing something unique. They're doing something different. So I think that's my last piece of advice I say to people out there, is that you're one of a kind. So the best thing you can do is be your true, authentic, original self. Don't try and be like other people. Be you. Imagine if George Lucas had not followed that vision that he had, or had the courage to make it when everyone thought he was crazy. You wouldn't have Star Wars. It takes a certain amount of being bold and brave to do something that's different, but by having the courage to do it may lie your success.
Well, I'm going to give you a 1-minute plug. I know we're running out of time. A 1-minute plug to plug the series finale of Siren and anything else you've got coming up.
Well, unfortunately, I can't talk about anything else I've got coming up because it all got shut down and I signed non-disclosure agreements. But that's exciting. Only exciting top secret jobs get non-disclosure agreements. So you've got some interesting stuff to look forward to, providing it goes ahead. But one other thing I can plug besides Siren is a mini-series, 8-episode mini-series that I shot in Tasmania last year called The Gloaming. And that was made by Stan Australia, which is Australia's Netflix, and ABC International. And normally ABC International puts their shows on Hulu. So once The Gloaming is on Hulu, I will be in 3 shows on Hulu. Siren, The Orville, which I do a reoccurring role in, and that's the Seth MacFarlane show, and The Gloaming. those 3 shows, and you've got an exciting season finale to look forward to. It's gonna really, tonight's episode's gonna rock people. Next week's episode, it's epic. It's epic, and people are just gonna be shook, and they'll be shook up for better or for worse. You must tune in. You've got 2 fantastic episodes to go, and overall, season 3 really has been an amazing season. I just applaud all our cast, our crew, and our creators for such an amazing season of Siren. And if you haven't been following it, it's streaming on Hulu. Catch up.
Well, thanks very much for your time, Rena.
Oh, you're so welcome, Matthew. You're very welcome. Stay safe, stay well, and keep following your dreams, living the dream, following your dreams, living the dream, blah, blah, you know. Stay safe, stay well.
Thanks very much for your time.
Awesome. Okay, Matthew.
Bye-bye now.